States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Give us 1 second. We're finishing up broadcasting.
Okay. Sorry. Roll call.
Commissioner Corey? Here. Commissioner Franco?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Commissioner Juarez? Here. Commissioner Sandu is not arrived yet. And for the record, Vice Chair Singh is absent today. Commissioner Salas?
Present.
Commissioner, I just received an email. Commissioner Sandu is trying to join via Zoom as well.
You want us to wait while you connect her? Is she connected? Okay, potential conflicts of interest. Any commissioner who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Does anyone have a conflict of interest? Oral communications, notice to the public. At this time, any member of the public may address the commission regarding any item over which the commission has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the chairperson for review. Members of the public shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who has any oral communication at this time? No one here, no one online?
Chair Salas, no one's in the line.
Okay. Our first item is our one and only item is a public hearing. During the public hearing, I will first ask for staff's comments and reports on the item being discussed. After staff's presentation, I will then open the public hearing to public testimony. I will then close the public hearing, at which time no member of the public shall address the commission unless specifically asked by a member of the commission through the chair. The Planning Commission will then discuss the matter amongst themselves and take action on the item being considered. So item 1 is a tentative subdivision map and zone change to consider the proposal of a tentative subdivision map and zone change to allow a 41 lot single-family subdivision with lots ranging from 9,300 square feet to 15,000 square feet. The project proposes a rezone of 23 lots of the project site from a one-family zone R112 to a one-family zone R19, 19 lots, and one-family R17, 4 lots. The proposed site is located north of Rose Avenue between Amber and Dockery Avenues. A draft initial study negative declaration has been prepared concerning the proposed project in compliance with provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. And then staff report.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for reading that summary. Just to expand a little bit on that, my name is Kamar Biawogi. Today is a special public hearing meeting to consider this tentative subdivision map. Expanding a little bit more on what you just proposed or what you just read off. Lots will be ranging from 9,300 to 15,000 square feet. And also the rezone component of the subdivision. The rezone, it will be 23 out of the 41 lots are being proposed with the development. Rezone enables the lots to meet depth requirement as currently designed. The large parcel is currently R112, which has a depth requirement of 120 feet. So rezoning these lots, the 23 lots, 19 of those lots will be rezoned to R19, and 4 of those lots will be rezoned to R17. Next slide, please. I'm sorry. Go back, please. Like Commissioner said, the project is located on the north side of Rose Avenue, west of Amber Avenue and East Dockery. Effectively, this is an extension of an existing subdivision to the west. The existing stub streets, Prairie Street and Country Rose Street, will punch through to the new proposed subdivision. And of course, a linear park / trail connecting to the future Amberwood Park is being proposed through the tentative map. The tentative subdivision map is displayed on as Outlot A. Currently, Outlot A is being used as a 50-foot wide PG&E easement. We have conditioned the project to utilize this space to extend the linear trail and park that is planned north of the project within the Amberwood specific plan. Then on top of that, there is a proposed paseo strip that we are proposing the applicant add as an addition to the Outlot A for a 20-foot wide paseo strip for applicants and individuals to converse from the subdivision onto that linear park trail. This proposed park dedication will not only decrease parkland impact fees, but will fulfill the city's general plan goals and policies through supporting smart growth, walkable, and bikeable neighborhoods. Next slide, please. As you can see here is the project location just north of Rose Avenue. Slide, please. Here's tilted sideways. There's the tentative parcel map, or sorry, tentative subdivision map that should be changed to subdivision of 41 lots. And you can see listed there, Outlot A is the dedicated, where's the existing, sorry, dedicated linear park trail. Currently, that is currently a 50-foot wide PG&E easement. Next slide, please. An initial study and negative declaration has been prepared for and is subject to approval by the Planning Commission. Okay, a little bit more on the project analysis. An assessment district to fund infrastructure maintenance by the residents within the development will be developed for street maintenance, lighting, and landscape. Cal Water will provide services through an 8-inch line within the internal roadways. These lines will stem from the existing water main in Rose Avenue. The applicant will be required to extend the main to the east end of the development. The applicant shall provide an on-site temporary drainage basin in lieu of connecting to a future master plan facility located east of the project. And if the applicant decides to not construct a permanent, if the applicant decides to construct a permanent basin, on-site basin, that basin would also be included in an infrastructure during the establishment of an assessment district for maintenance. Also, a 15-inch sewer line is required to extend to the east, connecting to Amberwood sewer line. This 15-inch measurement came from the SKF sewer master plan. So that size being determined by them, the project along Rose Avenue, sewer impact fees, it's possible for the applicant to be credited sewer impact fees, as that line is obviously much larger for that project, but it is required for the proposed and predicted development going down Rose Avenue. Slide, please. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommends to the City Council an approval of 2022-0017, subject to conditions of approval and negative declaration in the resolution. Staff is ready for any questions.
This is a public hearing, so we will open the public hearing portion of the meeting. If anyone has anything in favor or against this proposal, they please address the commission now. Please state your name and address when you come to the podium.
Good afternoon. My name is Elvia Lopez, and I'm here with Central Valley Engineering and Surveying at 2511 Logan Street here in Selma. I'm here today to represent CBEAS and the project owners to address any questions that you may have in the approval of the zone change and subdivision of the 20-acre parcel into 41 new lots on Rose Avenue. After the review of the conditions of approval, the owners have agreed to all mentioned, except for the, they are requesting a credit in fees for the construction and the dedication to the city of the proposed ponding basin and park trail that I understand, per Jerome, will be addressed at, during the time of final subdivision map review. I'm here just for any questions you may have.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the commission?
Good evening. My name is Harvey Singh. I'm on the outskirts of Selma, but in Selma mailing address. And I'm the adjoining property to the east. And if it's possible, I had a question for this young man who's here presenting from the city. I understand the concept of the outlot A. If we can go back to the very first screen and tell us exactly what's going to happen, what's happening, because I have adjacent property. I see the dotted line. I will obviously be influenced one way or the other by what's going to go on and how it's going to go on. You can hold my time till they get this figured out, okay? Yeah. Obviously, nobody behind me was going to speak after this anyway. Yeah, the first one after the Commissioner Salas spoke and you had that map up there. And I want to go up there and maybe walk up there and be told what's going where, what have you. That's very important that we have a clear understanding going forward what's going to happen to any of us. Okay, go back to the very first one. Yeah, that configuration. Where is the last question that was mentioned, the outlot A? Where is that and what's that in relation to this going to have any significance? Want to point it out there? Can I walk up there or can you walk up and show me what is it? Got one of those, a mouse? Sure.
So just for reference, north is to the left.
Okay,
Floral or Rose Avenue's to the right of this map,
That's Rose right there. where
right
you-
here where the where
Okay.
I'm shining. So outlot A is this linear portion right here where the transmission corridor for PG&E is located.
Okay,
There's an unsubdivided remainder in between the outlot here, and then it's about a 60-foot wide strip
Okay.
north of the existing home and buildings that
And
are
buildings right
located
there.
on site,
Okay.
which I'm assuming abut your property to the
Yes.
east.
Oh, there you go.
And
Uh-huh.
the discussion has been with the applicant to propose their temporary drainage basin on this property here.
Okay,
In the event that nothing can be worked out for future development purposes, this would maintain either temporary drainage basin until the permanent drainage facility is constructed. Or if they decide to convert this to a permanent drainage basin, the permanent drainage basin would be in this location.
okay.
That hasn't been formalized in the form of improvement drawings or anything like that, which as was brought up would be done during the final map process
Okay.
when the applicant brings forth how they plan to actually develop the site.
Okay.
But there is a potential not issue, but consideration, and I think my pointer just died. Consideration for that porch. Okay, my 3 minutes are up.
No, that's okay. No, this is important for the city and for us, and we all have
No, and
vested
so
interest in.
the issue is the portion that's labeled unsubdivided remainder. If it's used as a temporary basin, but then they connect to the regional basin, there'll be a strip of land with no use,
Okay.
which could be converted to adjacent park space or what have you in the future. Or it could be sold to you and developed as part of the adjacent property.
That's what I wanted to find out.
Yeah.
Let's just say that when it's our turn and we
Mhm.
come up here, just like they are, in the future, if that's still undeveloped, or
Mhm.
unused, or is, it's going to be left like that, would we be entitled to work with the city vis-a-vis through the owners right there and the city to tap into that if that's required of us, or rather than build two ponding basins, if we can mitigate if we have that, if we can mitigate our need for a ponding basin vis-a-vis having one already either dedicated to the city or privately still held by, I'm just asking if that's up for consideration, or that will be something that we can work with. I would imagine the answer will be down the road, but at least we want to bring those points up because the minute's taken right now. People know what we said and who said what, and when everything was said and when everything was talked about.
So, I mean, if I'm gonna answer it now, obviously, if there's capacity for the runoff for whatever proposed development in the future, if there's the capability of it being discharged to that location while meeting the design criteria that's required for a drainage basin,
Okay.
3-to-1 slopes, certain depth, what have you, there's a possibility that you would not have to necessarily connect to another basin. You could use this basin if it's dedicated to the city or working it out with the private owner if it's still a temporary facility. Those are all items that are up for discussion. Obviously, at the meeting last week, city staff brought up the fact that we don't like duplicative facilities because it's a maintenance and cost to the city. So we try and consolidate facilities wherever we can, which is why we have master plans, which is why we say if this project has a temporary basin, when the permanent facility is there, they can fill it in and use it for whatever use that they want. And so if it were to be a temporary facility, either it would be retained by the property owner and could be sold to the adjacent property owner for future development, or if they maintained it as a drainage basin on site, it would be maintained through an assessment district funded by the residents that are using that specific basin because it is for that project. And the adjacent project, if it can be served by this basin and excavated further to house whatever runoff is generated, they would also pay into an assessment district for the maintenance of that basin. So in short, yes, it could happen.
Yeah.
However, there would need to be coordination with the property owner and the city in terms of if it's physically possible and capable to meet
Okay, fair enough.
development standards.
Fair enough. That was the purpose of being up here, at least to discuss when I heard. I suspected that was what was being said, but I wasn't completely sure, so I'd rather not assume and I ask. And thank you for the explanation. And I'm, for the most part, satisfied knowing that our grade runs this way when we irrigate, so it's gonna come this way, what have you not. And if I can indulge you, I'm gonna go up to the map just real quick. I'm gonna indulge you on something and ask you a question here, okay?
So for those online that didn't hear the conversation, the question and the comments were regarding the proposed stub streets on the west side of the project that connect to the existing subdivision, which are north of lot 41 and south of lot 35. They connect to the subdivision to the east. The concern was, or the comment or
The
the
comment, yeah.
question was with regard to future connection to future development. We have the street coming into the subdivision that could be teed to go to an adjacent subdivision, to create a crossing. So you have an alignment to connect to a subdivision to the east. Now, we want to minimize, from a staff point of view, crossings through the park, through, for pedestrian safety purposes, right? So I think having another stub street at the north end would be unnecessary, because we can have the stub street at the southern end of the property. So any future development that is proposed east, for connectivity purposes, we typically ask the stub streets to connect. So what we could ask for as
Yeah.
part of this project, which is, I'm assuming where this Harvey is
Yeah.
leading us,
Yeah.
is to reserve right of way, that for a future date within the subdivided remainder,
Yeah.
or at least call out future road or right of way so that they can to the substreet, which is a great point.
Yeah,
That
because-
we can have that addressed on the final map.
It's bad enough to find streets on GPS, and when you got one street here and another street there, and then it's coming in, this streets are going east and west. If ours is coming north and west, it becomes complicated. And if they're working with us, we'll be more than glad to work with them, and where the streets eventually just lead to Amber. So it's a direct, takes off the pressure on roads as far as travel, especially internal travel on both the north end and the southern part of this into Amber. And quite frankly, the water is easy to bring that way along with the streetways, and certainly the sewer, I know from what Kev, they're gonna take it on Rose, down the middle of Rose. And it's gonna be a 15-inch, so it's gonna be plenty capacity, not only for them, for us, and then subsequently for the Ceramians on Amberwood, right?
Rose will not serve Amberwood. The lateral that's being constructed by the city on Floral Avenue will serve the Ceramian Amberwood
okay.
project. The 15-inch line that's being installed is sized per the sewer master plan to accommodate future growth in the area. So it takes into consideration the sizing of future development, such as the proposal from Mr. Singh to the east, as well as properties on the south end of Rose as well. The installation by this project, or any project that extends a sewer line that's oversized, they will be eligible for credit, and that credit is either to their project, but if it exceeds what credit they can receive on their project, the monetary contribution of other projects' impact fees would go to pay back this developer for oversizing the line, so that Mr. Singh does not have to install the line himself. He can tie in and simply pay his pro rata share of impacts to that sewer installation through his impact fees.
Exactly. Thank you. I wanted to hear that. I wanted that to be noted, so noted on some tape or future conversations. If Harvey Singh's not around, the son is around. Remember that, and most of you should be around. That was said, that we do have the entitlement to the same sewer. Certainly, there will be a fee paid for as a sharing of concept. I understand that. But if the sewer is large enough to start with, then it allows the opportunity for somebody to get excited about it. Otherwise, they're going to say, "Oh, Mr. Singh is going to cost $3 million just for the sewer. What are we going to do with your parcels?" That's when Mr. Singh wants to make sure it's a viable project for them. God bless them. It's a viable project for any of us up to Amber and beyond. And quite frankly, the ranch only brings so much income, but to the city, homes, now that's a different revenue source for the city. It's a beneficial source for anybody and everybody, for the homeowners, for the city, and the venue, the travel, and all the related association with being a city out there, especially when you brought a sewer line. You might as well build it out, for God's sake. You didn't bring it just to say to Harvey saying, "Oh, we have a sewer line, 15, 20 years, we'll talk to your kid about it." Okay, so I wanted to make sure our rights, or at least our opportunity to express ourselves, were somewhat concerned and considered that way. Again, if Harvey's not here, the kids will know what we talk. If there's anything else as far as the trunk line that goes from this all the way across, I want to make sure it's capacity enough and big enough be glad to share our part of it, but we be allowed to use that along with that, drainage pond. I think if we work together, it's good for all of us. Otherwise, my motive may be different than theirs, but at the end of the day, then like you said, duplicating just like that Nebraska project and Highland. Why duplicate a park when across the street you have Eric White? Why have the city mow something when they don't need to? I think Curry also had mentioned. I just want to make sure we're here presenting our story before, while this is getting, so we're working in concert rather than against each other. Okay. Anything else I have to be aware of other than just how the project is coming along in the streets and the sewer and supposedly the shared? Is there, Kev, is there going to be on the north end where there's PG&E lines, what would technically be Delray Avenue? If Delray came all the way from Laurel into here, are they planning to bring Delray all the way out to either Nebraska or back there where the Asimis are?
Close.
Questions. Are we going to be a part of that, a cost of that sharing into that project?
We can respond to the questions. Just want to point out, Mr. Singh has had more than 3 minutes. For fairness sake, I will answer all the questions. But just wanted to point that out because it is a public hearing. The PG&E corridor is a linear park through Amberwood. It is proposed as a linear park. I believe an alignment for Delray is proposed. I do not believe it goes all the way to Rose. I
Okay.
believe Amber Avenue is gonna be extended. But I do not believe Delray specifically is going the whole. Looks like according to the map, it does come somewhat south and then turns eastward towards Amber. So more of the north-south roadways through this part of town will be Amber, and then the internal roadways of the proposed Amberwood specific plan.
Okay.
But the linear park follows the transmission corridor of the PG&E lines because it is considerably easier to construct park facilities than maintain street facilities underneath PG structure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time and your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your foresight with us.
Is it possible, the person representative from Central Valley Engineer, can she reread her statement? So I want to just,
Can you come up again and let us
can you
know?
just reread your statement? I want to make sure I remember everything correctly that you said, that's all.
Yes, of course. I just introduced myself, and then the project, which we all know is the 20-acre parcel, dividing it into 41 lots for a subdivision tract map. And I mentioned that after review of the conditions of approval, the owner has agreed to all except the ones that we had mentioned to Jerome that pertain to the city fees that we hope to get a credit to the owner regarding the construction and dedication of the proposed ponding basin and park trail. So we wanted that to be noted for the record here, that the city staff has agreed that those fees and the conditions will be, there will be a credit and an adjustment during the time of the final subdivision review.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I heard you, remembered it correctly, that's all.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to come forward to speak? Is there anyone online?
Chair Salas, there's no one on the line.
Okay, then at this time, we will close the public hearing portion of the meeting and bring it back to staff and to the commission for discussion. Anyone on the commission have any questions or discussion?
I have a few questions. They may be a little early in the project for these to be answered. But from what I understand, the continuation of the existing subdivision was supposed to be similar, like lot sizes and so forth, with minimum square footage of 10,000 square feet. But there's one lot in here that is below 10,000 square feet. It's just the one, right?
So that's, in terms of the configuration of these lots, there's something to consider as part of the final map process that will need to be addressed. To the western side of the property, there's a 10-foot strip that is not being calculated as part of the lot sizes because there is a title issue that a portion of the legal parcel was not conveyed to the property owner. So there will be some cleanup on the final map. So the lot sizes may be, in some cases, a little bit bigger, or they may be a little bit different. Really, the issue with regard to some of the lot sizes, and I think you're referring to one of the lots.
It's lot number 4.
4 and 5. There may be additional land to the north of that that is part of that record issue that is added to those to increase those lot sizes. Those are corner lots. They are a little bit odd shaped as well because of the knuckle that's there that takes away some of the square footage. So for the proposal, in the event that they are able to acquire, I think it's about 23 feet to the north, they would be over 10,000 square feet. But really, the proposal for the R19 zoning and the R17 zoning was really more just to depth. They keep the same width. They're not going to be skinnier. So I think all of the lots maintain over 100 feet, 105 feet of frontage. And I believe the R112 zone district minimum is 100. So in reality, when you look at them from the street, they're all going to appear to be the same as any other lot within the adjacent subdivision and within themselves.
And the setbacks will be the same, correct?
Setbacks will be the same as
Okay.
well. Really, the issue was more in regards to depth due to the title issue, that if the title issue can't be resolved, the zone district at least allows the depth to match what the zone district allowance is. So again, from the street, they will all look the same width, same consistency. It was really more of a depth issue, and the proposal to rezone was to address the lingering title issue with the site. So in reality, you may have some lots that end up being 10,000, close to 12,000 that are zoned R17, but because in the minimum lot sizes, if they don't exceed 14,000, they can't be re-subdivided anyway.
Okay.
So there will be no necessarily re-subdivision of lots because they're R17 based off of the lot sizes. This was strictly a depth issue that we were trying to allow the project to move forward with consideration of the amount of lots without having them redesign it to necessarily lose lots. Because that would have been the alternative, right? We went through a couple of revisions of this map. What you'll see is you'll see varying street widths. You'll see 60-foot wide street widths. You'll see 56-foot wide. And that was because some of the lots, when we went through and we discovered this discrepancy on title, some of them didn't meet the depth issue. And 56-foot wide local street is a city standard. So we actually gained 8 feet by reducing that down within the bounds of what they're already allowed to do without a redesign, without losing lots. So we worked with the applicant's team to configure this in a manner to where what was anticipated in terms of number of lots, they maintained, but we did make some we did make some accommodations for the zoning, but from a look of the subdivision, the widths will maintain the same look as the rest of the.
Okay. Again, this might be early, but is there a minimum square footage for the houses?
We don't have current proposals on the home sizes yet.
Also, I mentioned, block fencing on two sides of the property, but the existing subdivision, I might be incorrect about this, but I think all of the lots are divided with CMU walls. Is that going to be a requirement of this project?
That is not a typical requirement of the city. It is maybe the preferred requirement of the developer at the time that they construct the subdivision for marketing purposes, for privacy purposes. How do they want to make this subdivision attractive to prospective buyers? And CMU walls between property owners cuts down on sound. They're sturdy. They last longer than wood fencing. But that's a development choice.
So that's going to be in the CCNRs then?
Correct, but those are not enforceable by the city.
Okay. And, let's see. I think that's it. I think those were my questions. Thank
Yeah,
you.
just for the record, are not enforceable by the city. They're a civil matter.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no other questions, I just want to make sure we're all clear on this reimbursement credit, which improvements get it, et cetera. So as proposed right now, the only improvement as it's shown on the map, as it was submitted to the city that would be eligible for credit would be the sewer line, because it's 15 inches, oversized, will serve multiple projects beyond this project, and the linear park. Those would be the only improvements that would be eligible for credit right now as it's proposed. If the applicant submits improvement plans where they will do a storm drain basin on site that they want to be permanent, it would need to be included in the assessment district for landscape lighting, street maintenance, whatever, right? They would also pay into maintenance of their own storm drain basin, but then that would need to be shown on the improvement plans. And then at that time, because they will not be using a regional facility or any conveyance infrastructure, the storm drain impact fee becomes non-applicable because they're not using regional facilities. So you wouldn't necessarily get a credit for storm drain, it just goes away because they have their own. So for the record, I just want to be clear as to what is potentially creditable, reimbursement eligible, or can be negated, and it would be those three things.
That's all already included in the conditions of approval.
In terms of conditions, what we have the project condition with estimated impact fees, because impact fees can change. Again, but based on how it's proposed in the improvement plan package, it will identify what the oversized cost is. We will have estimates and quotes for those things to give them credit, but we need to solidify those credit amounts in a memorializing document, and that would be more appropriate in a subdivision agreement because they have all their improvements, they have all of those items shown, identified, they're bonding for those improvements as part of the project, and it wouldn't go forward until we're all in agreement as to, because it's an agreement, they have to sign it. So getting to an understanding of what is actually going to be built at that point, really the conditions of approval here provide what the estimated impact fees would be based off of how the project is shown. But if there's other items that come up that are obviously creditable under the law, we are obligated to provide reimbursement or credit for everything that's over their fair share allocation of what it is their project's actually going to use.
So this resolution is just for the rezoning, just for the
It's
rezoning.
recommendation of the whole project. It's recommendation of the tentative subdivision map, the rezone, and the environmental approval to city council.
City council,
So it's
yes.
the whole package. Now, again, when the final map comes in, they will work on the improvement plans and
Other stuff.
identify all the infrastructure. What are they actually gonna do? They may figure out that they don't want a storm drain basin, or maybe they work out a deal with Mr. Singh that having a temporary basin is more beneficial because then they can offer that land to him for development purposes, and then his project could maybe abut the linear park in the same fashion that this project does. He can have a paseo the same way this one's proposed to have, and you can have a subdivision that people can walk to a linear trail that eventually is gonna go all the way up to Del Rey, right, through the Amberwood project. So maybe there's a deal that right now they think it's a great idea to get credit for a permanent storm drain basin. They may get into negotiations and figure out, well, the temporary basin is a better option. Okay, fine. Till we know, and until that's proposed before us, we don't have an idea of whether to give credit or not, right? And so until we have a proposal of what facilities are going in, we can't offer credit for those, but we can tell them under the law, we are obligated to provide credit, or if they're not using a regional facility, that fee is removed.
Commissioner Juarez or Commissioner Sandu, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, I think I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have anything to add either.
All right, then does anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend to City Council the approval of tentative subdivision map and rezone change.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Corey,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Franco,
Yes.
Commissioner Juarez,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandu,
Yes.
Chair Salas.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, do we have anything else that needs to be brought up? Make a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, we're staying.